Threats of war escalate in the Middle East as the U.S. military buildup continues. This graphic shows the recent buildup of U.S. air power in the Middle East. The Wall Street Journal reporting it's the largest in the region since the Iraq War in 2003. In Israel, the IDF Home Front Command has been directed to prepare for full-scale war. Iran is holding joint naval exercises with Russia and the Chinese. The regime is also calling on Hezbollah to join them in the event of a U.S. military strike.
There's many reasons and arguments that one could make for a strike against Iran.
U.S. military officials say they're ready to strike as early as Saturday. Leavitt reiterated that little progress was made during Wednesday's nuclear talks.
Diplomacy is always his first option, and Iran would be very wise to make a deal with President Trump and with this administration.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth told CBN News the decision to strike Iran lies with President Trump.
Should they not follow through on commitments, should they not be willing to make a deal, the president has an option. The only one that will make this decision, well, two people will make this decision. The Iranians could step up and make a real deal, and then ultimately President Trump will decide whether or not it's a deal that's good enough for the American people.
Middle East political analyst Esther Braun says any deal with Iran should come with reservation. Braun recently wrote this Times of Israel article titled "Built to Deceive: Why Iran Can't Make a Real Deal," where she explains the Iranian Islamic tactic known as taqiyya.
Taqiyya was a survival mechanism. The believer could conceal his faith, conceal his style of life to save his life, to save his property, to save his community.
Braun says Western diplomacy wants to resolve conflicts. Iranian culture uses taqiyya to manage it.
It's not like they're lying because they have a purpose to lie. It's just the way how they see the whole process of negotiations.
While U.S. military officials say they're prepared to strike Iran as early as Saturday, President Trump is weighing his options.
So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Trump is considering an initial attack on Iran, possibly within days, to force it to meet U.S. nuclear demands. The limited strike options include attacks on nuclear and ballistic missile facilities. If Iran still wouldn't go along, the U.S. could launch a broader military campaign in an effort to potentially overthrow the Islamic government. The journal also reports that there is still a wide gap with negotiations. Iran is refusing to limit its ballistic missile program and has said that no country can deprive it of its right for nuclear enrichment.
And now is the time for Iran to join us on a path that will complete what we're doing. And if they join us, that'll be great. If they don't join us, that'll be great too. But it'll be a very different path.
If that path results in a full-scale war, a former U.S. Central Command deputy tells the Jerusalem Post the American military could dismantle Iran's power structure core within hours. Meanwhile, the European Union has formally added Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to its terrorist list, as Iran warns in this letter to the UN that if attacked, all hostile bases and assets in the region would be considered legitimate targets. The USS Gerald R. Ford is equipped to counter Iranian strikes. The aircraft carrier is expected to be positioned off Israel's coast to protect Tel Aviv and Haifa.
We're prepared for any scenario. And one thing is certain, if the Ayatollahs make a mistake and attack us, they will face a response they can't even imagine.
And while there are preparations for war here in the Middle East, the President's Board of Peace held its first meeting in Washington. In the inaugural meeting, Trump pledged $17 billion toward the reconstruction of Gaza. The board's plan also included more than 30,000 international soldiers and police officers to replace Israeli soldiers in Gaza, with Israel again saying it won't withdraw troops unless Hamas disarms.
That includes all its weapons, its terror infrastructure, underground tunnel network, and weapons production facilities must all be dismantled. There must be a fundamental de-radicalization process. The infrastructure that indoctrinates Palestinian children to hate and kill Jews in educational and religious institutes should no longer exist.
Paul Petit, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I'm joined now by our Middle East correspondent, Paul Petit. Great stories, Paul, about a really tough subject. What do you think's coming?
Yeah, frightening stories as well. You know, it's hard to say. We're in the sort of the chess game mode. You know, I move this way, you move that. Trump constantly moving the timeline for when he might attack. Iran building up with Russia, doing drills with their Navy. So it's anyone's guess at this point. We'll just have to literally go day by day.
Yeah, you know, the Jerusalem municipality sent out today this a little booklet, online booklet in multiple languages, and it's says to be ready for routine and unforeseen situations, but basically it's all about getting where you go if there's an attack, and how to prepare your home, and how to relate to your kids when you're in the bomb shelter. So it's clear that Israelis are preparing.
Yeah, and you know, there's an app that you can only get when you're actually in Israel, Homefront Command it's called, which warns you of a missile attack. This is everyday life here in Israel for those that have never visited or been here, you know, at certain times. And so, yeah, everyone's on high alert. Obviously, the command is on high alert here in Israel. Yeah. And what that means is everybody is poised. No one knows when it could happen, but we need to be prepared, as you're showing there. And an interesting footnote today, I learned that 59% of Israelis are in support of joining the U.S. Should there be an attack on Iran.
Yeah, you know, I think because Israelis know if any deal with Iran is probably not going to go anywhere. You know, they're just making a big show of the whole thing. They're not going to get rid of Hezbollah and Hamas. They want to keep funding them. So, you know, for Israelis, that's very practical. I mean, it goes from terror attacks to war on the borders. It's not a simple thing. And, you know, it's also the missile issue. They don't want to have anything. They want their missiles to defend themselves. Excuse me, but, you know, if they weren't aggressive, they wouldn't have to defend themselves.
Yeah, and so that's where we're at in this point in time. And I think it's interesting, the timing of the Board of Peace meeting, too, because it's sort of a model of what has to happen if it's done correctly in Gaza, what needs to happen in Iran. And the bottom line is that you just can't kick the can down the road and let them keep their missiles. In the case of Gaza, let them keep their arms, because it's only a matter of time until they get ready again, and there's another attack on Israel. So it's really a regime change that has to happen. And so that's going to be the next question. How is that going to happen? And obviously, many people in Iran want that to happen sooner the better.
Yeah, they do. And, you know, I mean, Israel has proven time and time again that you can't just, because they're not changing their ideology, they're not changing their goal of destroying Israel and getting rid of the Jewish state. So if that's the case, then, you know, you have to get rid of them first.
Yep, we'll see what happens.